This video will show you how to create your own Lego bricks that enclose other Lego bricks. This is an ideal present for all your AFOL friends. I used the resin pouring method to create the brick, and the first step is to create a mold. Many poured resins directly into Lego's original ice cube and baking molds, and you find them for sale on Etsy and other platforms. The existing molds limit you in the available shapes. Let's design our own creation. I took a Lego Duplo brick as my original brick and other bricks, including a minifigure, as the objects to be enclosed. I tried several different products and methods, such as 2-component silicone molding paste and layered latex. Neither produced good enough results due to the speed of the curing being either too fast or too slow. I settled for 2-component fast-setting silicone. The first step is to create a mold for the mold. I used Lego bricks to build this mold and placed 2 Duplo bricks in it. I then poured the silicone into the mold and used a vacuum chamber for degassing. This removed any enclosed bubbles from the mold. Note to future self: put putty into the Duplo bricks to prevent them from confining air. The Duplo bricks can break loose and float to the surface during the degassing. Once the silicone cured, I removed the Lego bricks and was left with a pretty good mold. The next step is to mix the hardener with the polyester resin. Follow the instructions for your particular product. It is always better to mix a little bit too much than too little. Good ventilation is essential for a healthy working environment, since the resin has a strong smell. Notice how the resin takes on a slightly yellow color. The mixing itself traps many air bubbles in the resin. I used the vacuum chamber for degassing the resin prior to pouring it into the cast. Notice how all the bubbles float to the surface. The next step is to carefully pour the first layer of resin into the molds. I then used the vacuum chamber again to degas the resin. Now it is time to wait until the resin gels, which might vary on the product you use and the amount of hardener mixed into the resin. Lego is made of ABS, and it does seem to be slightly less dense than polyester resin. I therefore had to use a little bit of superglue to attach the brick to be enclosed onto the first layer of resin. I used tweezers to move the brick into the right position. The next step is to prepare the polyester resin, as we did before. When pouring the resin into the mold, it is important to ensure that all cavities of the to-be-enclosed brick are filled with resin. The resin will climb on the walls of the mold. I therefore filled the mold slightly above the mark of the second Duplo brick so that I have some material that can be sandpapered off later. Time for another degassing session in the vacuum chamber. Notice how all the bubbles pop? It is so satisfying to watch. While the resin does cure within a few hours, it is a good idea to leave it for at least a day to properly cure and dry. Taking the new brick out of the mold is easy, since the resin does shrink a little during the curing process. The resin does rise at the walls of the mold, and hence it is necessary to sandpaper the new brick. And once I would sandpaper the brick anyway, I decided to also remove other casting marks on the side of the brick. For the sandpapering, I used a professional grinder. I started with a rough 240 grit sandpaper and then used finer and finer grits until I reached 1000. It is important to keep the brick flat on the surface, otherwise you create an uneven surface. Sandpaper and water only works up to a certain level of smoothness. Afterwards, a specific grinding paste and an oil-based lubricant is necessary to polish the bricks until it is crystal clear. After cleaning the brick from any remaining dust and residue, the bricks are ready. I noticed a small colored layer which might indicate that the resin dissolved some of the print on the brick or even the ABS itself. I intend to try some other resins in the future. These bricks in a brick are a wonderful Christmas or birthday present, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this video.